Hi, mystery writers. Today I want to talk about action in your mystery because we have a lot to work with. We have all of the tropes that we need to do: the corpse, the evidence, the hunt, the sweating the perp, the summation. Um, and these are all elements of a mystery novel readers expect. Action scenes will help build tension, and a well written action scene pulls your reader into the story. Notice everything that I've ever said about caring for your character, your protagonist, really counts when you get to an action scene. So, with all the thinking and discovery that your sleuth does, um, you don't want to overlook action scenes because they add dimension and empathy to your story. They Just because you're not writing a police procedural, don't overlook adding action to your mystery. An action scene is not necessarily a fight scene. I know that's what most people think of when they think of an action scene. You can enhance even the coziest cozy with your heroine eavesdropping behind the commemorative statue in the town square. So anytime you have action, it gets your reader involved and want to know what's going to happen um, to your character and what they will do. So don't necessarily think of fight scenes, but give your character action, things to do. And you maybe think used to thinking of action scenes as car chases and fight scenes and escaping the villain in the London tube and the like, but action scenes are really any time your sleuth has a physical movement, just like that cozy heroine hiding behind the statue. Action scenes can be written in a variety of styles, and you want the style to match the style of your story. But um, you can learn a lot about writing action scenes by reading authors who do write action scenes to get a feel of how they're written and also of the different styles of writing an action scene. So here's a long list, okay? Mario Puzo, Lee Child, Karen Slaughter, John Connolly, Dean Mayer, Patricia Cornwell, Elmore Leonard, Louis L'Amour, Larry McMurdy, Robert B. Parker, that all full of uh, bad characters and action scenes. And of course, my favorite action author is Robert Ludlum. So you want to, if you're approaching action in your story, take a look at some of these authors and see how they approach action in their stories, and you'll find that action isn't always a fight scene. All right, so okay, let's look at some basics of action scenes. First is the tone. You want to write in the style of your story. You don't want to change the tone of your story just because you have an action scene, or because you like how Elmore Leonard writes his action scenes and you want to imitate him. That won't work. You need to stay in the style of the story, uh, because you want the scene to feel like an integral part of your story. If you write action in another style, it will jar your reader out of the story, and we all know what that does. They like will stop reading. So you don't want to do that. So what you want the action scene to do is to pull your reader into the story and heighten the tension. So another basic of writing action scenes is the pace. You want to slow down and speed up, as it were. So you want to slow down the pace to guide your reader through the action. So it's each action, the antagonist's reaction and your hero's reaction, physical reaction, and their action, and just move by move. Don't describe just the blows. Tell the reader how your protagonist sleuth responds to those physical actions. A straight blow by blow of punches and counter blocks isn't enough. You need to, just like any other scene, you need to keep your reader involved. So describe your sleuth's physical reactions, how they hurt. Um, are they slowed down by what happened? And describing the scene in this way makes it immediate to your reader and gives the feeling of speeding up the action, even though you've slowed it down as you write, describing the action and then the reaction. And then I have a little tip about all this. When you're slowing down to speed up for your reader, and that is, don't describe your character's thinking. All right, action scenes are not about thinking. They're not thinking about um, what's going to happen next. They're thinking about, they're not thinking, they're reacting. They're physically reacting. Action scenes are physical actions. So you want to describe what your character does and how she reacts to the opponent's moves. It's critically important. All right, and uh, and as you stay away from thinking, you want to also minimize feeling right during that action scene. If you've ever been in a fight or attacked, you know feelings don't play a part in action. They come later. There's lots of feelings later, but during the action, at the time of the action, the sleuth's priority is winning the fight, all right? Catching the bad guy, getting the next bend in the road without trashing the vehicle. That is their focus right now. It's their physical action. She's not thinking about how her friend Norman is doing right now. There's thoughts just don't come in during action. And then, of course, an important action scene basic is you want to move the story forward. Like any scene in your novel, the action scene must move the story forward, and your sleuth either gets closer to the perp or loses the round. All right? And the action scene must fit into the story, leading your reader to wonder what comes next. An action scene, just to have an action scene, it doesn't do anything for your story. So your reader will wonder why it's happening. Anytime a reader stops being in the story to wonder or think, you've lost them. So make sure that your action scene fits in your story and moves the story forward. Somehow, the actions that are happening in this scene is moving your sleuth toward the ultimate goal of revealing the villain. It, your action scene must advance the story. And then the next basic number 5, is be realistic. A heroine who has no training will not win a fight with 3 trained assassins. You may want her to win the fight, but she won't win. So you have to be realistic in your action scenes and do your research. If your hero is in a car chase, watch simulations or play video games to get a feel of how quickly you must react in a fast-moving car. And things can spin out of control really quickly. And learn some basic fighting movements like the difference between a thrust and an undercut, so you know what your characters are doing while they're performing their actions. and learn how a sidekick differs from a knee to the groin. So do the moves. I know it's one of those things where, writers, and there you are in your office or living room or wherever you are, acting out what's going on in your scene. And believe me, lots of writers do this, um, because the more you understand the movements, the better you can make them come alive for your reader. All right. So, action scenes definitely enliven your mystery. Creating clues and suspects is part of the puzzle of writing a mystery, but you can enliven your story with well placed action scenes and keep the basics in mind, and you'll find the action scenes are fun to write. They are fun to write. And best of all, they keep your reader turning the pages. All right, I hope that helps. And I'd love to hear about the action scenes that you're working on now or contemplating in your mystery. And thanks for being in the Mystery Writers Studio. And I will see you next week.